Welcome to your safe space, the podcast your partner, friends, parents, whoever thinks it's dirty. Don't have time to read books? Want to understand all the jokes in the TikToks? We got you, fam. We're the Spice Traders, and we deal in spicy books. I'm Katie, and I need it to make sense.
I'm Liz, and I'm hypercritical.
Before we get to today's episode, we want to encourage you to check out our Patreon, where we publish extra episodes every other week, as well as ad-free versions of our regular feed episodes. Also, any series we read past the first book, all that coverage is Patreon only, so think series like ACOTAR, Fourth Wing, Guild. Anyway, we really appreciate the support and encouragement to continue doing something we love and sharing it with you.
Thanks in advance for checking that out. As always, we start this episode with 3 things. First is a generic trigger warning. You can find specific triggers for this book in our show notes, so please check those out. We also use foul language and talk a lot about sex. If you have sensitivity to either of those things, our podcast probably isn't for you.
Second, our episodes talk about books, the whole book, nothing but the book, so help me goddess. If you don't want something spoiled, don't listen to this episode.
And finally, we acknowledge that a good book can hit you at the wrong time. Our views discussed in our episodes are our opinion, and we don't want to diminish the work or the talents of the authors in our community. That said, we have some notes. So Katie, what are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about part 2 of Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark, and this part will cover chapters 16 to the end of the book, and then at the end of our coverage, we will do our rating. So if you haven't read the book or listened to part 1, do one of those things, you're going to be confused. So, when we last left our merry band of assholes, well, there's really only 2 of them, but they were fleeing Callum's fundraiser because Callum had just assaulted Oliver, Ada's ex, because Oliver was getting a little handsy. And so they get home directly after that. And they had gotten to a point where their anger and adrenaline had morphed into sexual energy, and they had had a little tryst in the car. And so they intend to finish that when they get home. But before they can do so, Callum is briefly waylaid by his father, who calls him, obviously furious about his behavior at the fundraiser. His father sees Ada as a distraction and tells Callum to get his shit together, which obviously makes Callum bristle. He tells us, quote, his father, he's the one who forced me to marry Ada, and now he's pissed off because she's not a little chess piece he can shuffle around the board like he does to everybody else. But then he follows Ada inside and they fool around more. But it's fade to black.
Which was a bummer. I don't want any fade to black. I want all of it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could have stood for 50 more pages of this book if it was like just exploring this scene, because they even talk about like, oh, it was like full of power play, and they were trying to see like where each other's limits were and like tire each other out, and I was like, why can't we see that?
Well, and then because we haven't gotten the spanking scene yet, right? That's later.
No. Mm-mm.
So, like, I think this scene would have been a good intermediary to the spanking scene, which frankly is a little uncomfortable for like the first third of it.
Yeah. And it does feel like it comes out of left field because they have like, good old vanilla, like heterosexual, no kink sex. Yeah. And then they go to that.
Yeah. Out of nowhere. And so like we get the allusion to power play here, but it's not enough to really bridge that gap. And don't get me wrong, like, the scenes are great, but it feels like it comes out of left field. And I was like, oh, we are here now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree with you. It could have done a lot to bridge some of that if we had just seen some of this a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just like 15 pages.
We all know what we've signed up for. Like, why are you hiding it? Don't be demure.
Exactly.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
So the next day, Callum goes to see Oliver's father, who expects Callum to be groveling. But Callum doesn't take that approach. It's clear that Callum won't be strong-armed by Oliver's father. And Oliver's father threatens to go above Callum's head to his dad. But Callum says, quote, don't bother. Unlike your son, I speak for myself.
Nice.
I also like this because, yes, he's defending his actions, but his actions were totally motivated by how he feels about Ada and his protectiveness over her. And so, like, he's kind of looking at himself like, what the fuck are you doing? But he's also like, you don't get to disrespect me like that.
Exactly. And I like there's a little bit of a power play between Callum and his dad, right? at least with like where the book started. So I like the whole like, no. I will be the head of this family. I speak for myself.
Yeah.
You can't run to daddy on me. I got this.
So we go back to Ada, and it's a little bit later in the day. She's going back to her family's home to observe the anniversary of her mother's death. It's one of the first times that she's going back to her ancestral home since she got married and the whirlwind of events that happened since then. She feels melancholy thinking about her family and how much less time they get to spend together now that she's with Callum. When she gets to the house, she goes up to the top room of the house, which is where her mother's piano is, and that's where she finds her father. Her father asks her to play one of her mother's favorite tunes, and they spend time together in grief as she does so.
I want to, sorry to interrupt you, but there was something interesting in this book that I've never noticed before. So we get the playlist at the front of the book, but in this scene, we get a link directly to the song.
Yeah, like she really wanted you to hear the song in the scene.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it.
I also didn't listen to it.
But I thought it was an interesting use of technology. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was here for it. I just like was not in a position where I could like listen to sound. And so I didn't.
No, me either. But I was like, huh, cool.
So then they all go downstairs and have dinner with Ada's brothers. Ada tells them about the fundraiser, specifically about Zajac, however we're saying that.
Zajac.
Zajac. It sounds too close to like Ajax when I say it like that. Zajac.
Or like, isn't like Pat Sajak like a person? Did I make that name up?
Sajak? I don't know. I'm not one for celebrities.
I think he's old and maybe dead, and if he's alive, I'm really sorry. But like that name is in my head for some reason. I couldn't tell you who he is or where he's from. It doesn't matter. Good. But like it's a weird name.
It's a weird name. It seems very Polish. And I can say that because I am.
Yeah.
So when Ada gets back to the Griffin's house, she finds Callum and his bodyguard Jack in the kitchen. This is the first time that she's seen Jack since he assaulted her and her brother, and she doesn't like him still. Jack makes a rude comment about Ada, and that makes Callum have to put him in his place, and that makes Ada want to embarrass Jack even more. She notices that Jack's gun is on the counter, which is a rookie mistake, and so she grabs it and points it directly at Jack. This surprises both men, and she says, quote, "Leaving your weapon unattended. Very sloppy, Jackie boy. Where did you get your training? The Chicago Police Academy, or was it the clown school?"
This whole scene is the only other time that I'm like super manic pixie dream girl, but with violence, and it was okay. But like, girl was fucking crazy in this scene.
She's crazy, but she's also not wrong. Like,
no, she's not. The guy's an asshole.
Doing?
And like, get your shit together, Jack.
Yeah, are you here as an employee or are you here as a friend? Because if you're here as an employee, you should have your gun on you. And if you're here as a friend, then you shouldn't have a gun, period. Exactly.
It certainly shouldn't just be loosey-goosey.
Right. So the situation escalates and Ada fires, but Callum grabs her hand just at the last minute. So she doesn't actually hit Jack in the arm like she was aiming to do. And the bullet goes into a cabinet instead.
It also hits Callum in the arm.
Yeah, it like grazes the side of his arm.
Yeah. I only bring it up because like he's real bloody in the subsequent scenes. And I was like, why?
I forgot about that when I was doing my notes. He's fine. Don't worry about it.
He's fine. And we never hear about it again. Like, it doesn't really come back up.
But a flesh wound.
But a flesh wound.
So Callum tells Jack to leave, saying, quote, "If you ever talk to my wife like that again, I'll empty that clip in your chest." Which, again,
nice.
I appreciated.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the only one to insult my wife. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Or I'll let her kill you because you deserve it.
Right. He's still boiling mad after Jack leaves, and so he takes Ada upstairs to their room and begins spanking her. This is the spanking scene we've been referencing.
Yeah, and I'm super here for a spanking scene, and I'm here for the dom play. It's just this scene, it's like really brutal. And I know that's the name of the book, but I wasn't prepared for like, it's a lot suddenly, kind of out of nowhere.
Right. And I think it's interesting that you bring up the like brutal prince moniker of the book, because like this is really the only scene that we get where he is brutal. Like, because otherwise he's just kind of like your run of the mill, like testy, gray moral, like main male character.
Yeah, there's not a lot of brutality. Even kind of jumping ahead, but like the rest of the book, he doesn't even do much. Like it's all Ada. He's just there.
Yeah. And like
So it's weird.
he's resilient for sure. Resilient and resourceful, but he's not like he didn't murder Jack because he insulted his wife.
Yeah, and the only other time we see any sort of brutality is when he like drowns Ada.
Yeah.
But it's just not this scene just took me like
what?
really by surprise. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it, but the first 2 pages of it, I'm like, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is uncomfortable because there is a lack of like explicit consent, and there is very active non-consent, right? Like at the first couple of pages of the scene, like you were mentioning, like Ada is not into it, and she is like fighting really hard to not be in this situation.
Yeah, it takes a long time for her to get turned on, and I think that's what made me uncomfortable because it's just like straight up a punishment to begin with, and I don't even know if Callum intends it to be sexy until it becomes sexy, and I just like, ugh. Yeah. And then it turns and it's fine. But I think it's worth noting that it's kind of jarring.
Yeah, it is very jarring. So like I said, at first it hurts and Ada's very embarrassed, but it does turn into an erotic encounter. And so Callum goes on to tease Ada until she promises to be a good girl and a good wife for him.
Yep.
In the aftermath, Ada asks if he's ever done something like that before, and he tells her, quote, "Not like that."
Interesting.
And internally, Ada's like, quote, "I'm a pretty opinionated girl. I thought I knew what I liked and what I didn't, but I might have just discovered a whole new category."
So the scene is super satisfying once like the consent is there and it gets sexy. And I'm also on the back half a little sad that we don't get more of this play.
I know. Yeah. And I think that would have, to your point earlier, made the kind of intro power play like worth it or like more satisfactory.
Yeah.
So we switch to Callum, who tells us that he's confused and bewildered about the emotions that Ada elicits in him. Oh, poor man.
Poor boy.
Poor boy.
Little man.
He talks about how sex in particular was always about release for him, and anything else was really going through the motions. But with Ada, it's completely different. He feels a connection, mind, body, and soul, and that's new for him. He says, quote, "I can't imagine going back to dull indifference. Ada is the doorway to another world. I want to stay on her side forever."
Oh, I love getting both their perspectives in this book because it is an enemies to lovers, but like we get to truly watch them fall in love, which I don't think not all books hit that. And it's fun to watch them both be like, okay, it kind of gives me all the warm fuzzies that I think fated mates are supposed to give you without it being fated mates.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely does the arranged marriage thing really well.
Yeah. And I have very few notes.
Yeah. So they go to bed, but in the middle of the night, Ada's brother Dante calls her and tells her that one of their construction sites has been vandalized. So she and Callum go to assess the damage and meet up with her brothers. When they get there, her brothers show them a charred boar's head, which is the calling card of the butcher, or Zajic. Sorry, I can never say that name without like doing that. So from now on, I probably mostly refer to him as the butcher.
That works for me because that's how I say it in my head as I'm following your notes, because I know you're using talk to text, so you're spelling it, but it looks like it's yelling it at me like Zajic is the butcher. And it makes me laugh. I'm not mad about it, so it can just be the butcher. Or you can yell at me. I enjoy it both ways.
I think there is at least one other time where it yells at you, so fear not.
Excellent. Thank you.
So they're at the scene and the police are there too to take a report. So they're kind of off to the side discussing what's happened. But as they're doing this, there's a drive-by where a bunch of the butcher's cronies shoot out of a blacked out SUV. And so everybody, including the police, are able to duck and cover in time, but it certainly amplifies the situation with the police there because it goes from just like a random vandalization, like breaking and maybe stealing incident to attempted murder. As people were ducking and covering as bullets were flying, none of the men did anything useful, but Ada got the license plate number from the car that was shooting at them. Go girl.
Go girl. She's so smart.
They're like, how did you do that? She's like, I'm shorter than you. I don't know. Like,
I know. She's like, I don't know. I just looked at it.
yeah. In the aftermath, her brothers and Callum argue about where Ada is safest, and Callum won't budge because he believes that she's safest with him. They then talk about what the butcher's motives might actually be, and they all come to the consensus that he probably wants to muscle in on their territory and drive a wedge between the two families. They agree that in the morning they'll figure out what to do, where he's hiding, and get revenge. When Ada and Callum are alone in the car, she tells him, quote, I want us to be partners, not just unwilling roommates. And Callum agrees that that's what he wants as well.
I love that framing of like the partnership, that they have great sex, but also they have a common enemy, and looking into a future together of like, you're both going to be like ruling families and businesses. It's a nice little moment.
Yeah, well, and this is, I think, maybe the second or third time that Ada's proven that she like actually knows what she's doing in this world, right? Like, she got the license plate of the car. Like, she keeps her head when things get a little heated.
Yeah, which is really impressive.
Yeah.
And something he definitely didn't expect of her.
Right. And obviously something that he doesn't do himself. So
he needs her.
They're complementary. So the next day, Ada has to go to class with Nessa, but she makes Callum to promise to keep her in the loop, and he sent them to school with Jack, his bodyguard. After class, Oliver intercepts Ada and insists that they talk. They go to a secluded area, and again he tells her that her being with Callum is killing him. Ada tells us internally, quote, it freaked me out how Oliver told me he loved me after a couple of weeks. He said we were soulmates, but to me, he was just another guy. Sometimes fun, sometimes good in bed, but barely a boyfriend, let alone a best friend or a soulmate.
Way too much, bud.
Yeah, way too strong. She ends up telling Oliver that he needs to quit stalking her. She's firm that she's not getting back to Oliver and that she's committed to her relationship with Callum. But Oliver doesn't take no for an answer, though, and ends up kissing her. It's a brief interaction because Ada pushes him off, but it's jarring. When she gets back to the car, she finds Nessa, but not Jack, which she finds odd because, you know, he's supposed to be their bodyguard and, like, watching them.
Yeah, and, like, be where he's supposed to be. I immediately saw what was going to happen next, where, like, Jack is watching. Like, I saw the whole thing. Like, there's these 2 points in this book where I'm like, okay, I've seen this treat before. I'm not mad about it, but
yeah.
It was nice to actually call something confidently, because usually I don't know till I'm told. And this, I was like, yeah, of course this is going to be a problem. I will say, surprisingly, Jack makes it less of a problem than I thought he was going to. And we'll get there. But I thought he was going to be a worse guy.
I thought that Jack and Oliver were in on this together.
I did too. Or at the very least that Jack was going to like really play it up. Like, I saw them together. It was really passionate. And it doesn't seem to be what he does. He seems to just be like reporting the facts. Like, he was with her, dude. I don't know.
Which really, like, that is kind of an inconsistency for the character, because it seems like Jack really has a like chip on his shoulder about Ada. And so I thought for sure that like he and Oliver teamed up to like get Ada and Callum to break up. But
yeah,
Jack just kind of rolls over about it.
Yeah, it is an inconsistency. Kind of a nothing burger.
Yeah, kind of a nothing burger, honestly.
Yeah, Jack at least is kind of a nothing burger.
So when Ada gets back to the house, Callum meets her in the library and tells her that they found one of the shooters from the night before, but not the butcher. So they plan to flush him out later that night by smashing one of his casinos. This is when Callum says that he's planning to go on this outing, this mobster outing field trip situation, and offers for Ada to go with him. And because he's extending all of that like trust to her, it makes her reluctant to tell him about the incident with Oliver. So she puts it from her mind for the moment. Then they talk about the items on the mantelpiece, and she learns that each one of these items was a gift from Callum's grandfather, because his favorite thing to say was, quote, all we have is time. And this is when we learn that the pocket watch in particular was Callum's object, and the other two belong to his siblings, which of course makes Ada feel really bad about the whole watch thing, and she apologizes. But Callum tells her, quote, that's in the past. Let's concern ourselves with tonight.
It's so refreshing. We've gotten this in the most recent books we've read, and I didn't really notice it before, but it's so refreshing to read about a male-female pairing where they're doing something risky and the male's like, you have to stay home and be safe.
Yeah.
Like, ugh, it's just so nice.
Like Callum tells us he's not super stoked that Ada would go, but he also like doesn't, he says something like, it's not up to me to like keep her at home.
Yeah. And I think that says something. I mean, I'm super reading into this and the romance of it, but it seems like he knows her. Like she's going to go anyway. You might as well know where she is and what she's doing.
Right. You might as well have as much control over that situation as you possibly can.
Exactly.
So then we go back in time a little bit to the morning where Callum and Ada's brothers were, what they were doing when Ada was in class. And so they rolled up to this auto body shop where one of the shooters works. They incapacitate everyone and start questioning the guy about where the butcher is. And at first he doesn't give anything up and says that he just gets a call from an unknown number every time the butcher needs work from him. But with enough threats and bodily harm, he eventually tells them that the butcher is dating a new girl who works at a strip club nearby. So they leave the body shop without actually killing anybody with this information in hand. And so when Callum gets back to the house, that's when he fills Ada in. And then afterwards, Jack pulls him aside and tells him about the interaction that he witnessed between Ada and Oliver.
And this is where it's just kind of, I mean, we'll get more on this, but it was just kind of surprising to me that, I mean, we don't really see a lot of this conversation, but it doesn't seem like Jack really plays it up the way I thought he would.
Yeah, because he really does just like deliver the news. He doesn't embellish at all.
No, and it sounds like he's just genuinely doing his job as Callum's friend and bodyguard.
Yeah.
Which, a little out of character and also very surprising to me as a reader.
Yeah. So obviously this news like is not Callum's favorite thing, but he admits internally, quote, "We never promised to be faithful to each other. Our marriage is a business arrangement. I can't forget that. The vows we spoke meant nothing, not really. The only real promises were the ones made by my father and hers." So he resolves to ask her, but when he joins her in their room, she's on her phone and she quickly hides it, which makes him even more suspicious.
Did you at any point think she was actually hiding something harmful?
No, not at all.
Me either. Me either. I was like, she's doing something for you, bro.
Yeah, like I didn't guess that it was the pocket watch, but I guessed like she was arranging like an engagement like present or like post-election blah blah or something, or maybe like an apartment for them to go to. I don't know. I was guessing in that direction. I never thought that she was like stepping out.
No, me either. I also thought it was going to be like a post-election party or something.
Yeah. So because of this, Callum just gets in a mood and he doesn't actually ask her about anything. Later that evening, they all go out with Ada's brothers to hit a casino. But as they're preparing to leave, they talk about perhaps splitting up, and one set of them going to the strip club to try to find this new girlfriend, and the other, or the rest of them, going to the casino. In the end, Ada and Callum end up volunteering to go to the strip club because Ada has a friend who works there. Jack and her brothers go to hit the casino, which I thought this was a mistake from the beginning. Like, there's 5 of them, right? There's 2 brothers because one of her brothers is still in the hospital, Jack, and then the 2 of them. I really thought that like somebody should have gone with them and stayed outside.
I agree. And I mean, they all just seem pretty like derisive about finding their girlfriend, but hitting the casino and stealing money or whatever seemed like a stupid plan. So I don't know why they didn't just all go together.
Yeah. Plus, like, that seems like something that you might not want to just wing, like robbing a casino.
Right?
Don't they make whole movies about how to plan that out?
There's been at least 4 of them, I think.
Right?
And usually things go wrong.
Usually things go pretty poorly, yeah. So on the way to the strip club, Callum asks Ada why she broke up with Oliver. And she tells him, quote, "It just never felt right. It was like putting a shoe on the wrong foot. Right away it was awkward, and the longer it went on, the worse it got." The worst of God.
The worst of God.
Whoa.
It's an intense description.
She confesses that she was never in love with Oliver, and this information serves to get Callum out of his testy mood. They go inside the strip club and they meet up with Ada's friend, and she asks if Francie Ross is working, because apparently that is the butcher's girlfriend. And it turns out that this person is a drag king and is doing a performance which they watch. The friend that Ada's talking to is obviously reluctant to give her any information, but she eventually does and ends up telling them where Francie lives. Then she brings them their drinks, and Ada immediately clocks that there's something oily on the surface of hers, and she goes to warn Callum not to drink his too, but he's already knocked it back. It doesn't take long for the drug that was in the drinks to kick in, but Ada can't get Callum bodily out of the strip club by herself, so she pretends to be affected by the drug as well.
Which is pretty smart.
Pretty smart. But also, like, saw this coming from a mile away for 500, Alex. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly, which is why you should have had someone else there.
Yeah, or send somebody else in to ask about this, right? Or follow Francie home or something. Like, don't be so obvious.
Right? Just, yeah, they're dumb. They're big. They're for mobsters, mob children. They're idiots.
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff with their own face cards, like showing up as themselves to get information. Like, that is such a risky thing to do.
Exactly. And it's not like a huge place. People know who you are. Like, they're the heirs to the conflicting thrones of the mobs. You have staff, okay? Use them.
You have staff. Right.
Don't send Jack to do this bullshit.
Right. Or send one of the brothers to flirt with the friend that Ada has, right? Like,
yeah. Or at least bring a bodyguard. Why is it just got to be the four of you?
Yeah. So sometime later, Callum wakes up and he's hanging in some abandoned warehouse, suspended from a meat hook by his hands. He's really out of it, but he remembers being with Ada, and it's clear that she's not with him, so he starts to panic. But before he can formulate a plan, the butcher and two cronies walk in. It's clear that the butcher intends to torture or butcher Callum. Callum asks him what this is about, and the butcher says, quote, "I've lived in this city for 12 years now. My family has been here 3 generations. But you don't know that, do you, Mr. Griffin? Because you haven't ever paid me the compliment of curiosity."
Because I don't give a shit about you, bro.
Yeah, it's clear that this guy's got a huge ego and has taken it, like, it's been bruised by the fact that people don't give a shit about him.
That's literally his whole thing, right? Like, he's mad that Ada didn't want to marry one of his sons, not even want to, like, wasn't orchestrated to unify those families, and that no one gives a shit about him.
Yeah, that's literally it. Like, that's all he's got.
That's the whole problem.
Cool.
Let it go.
So the butcher uncovers a suite of knives that he intends to use on Callum, and he begins to do so. But before he can get too far, someone throws a Molotov cocktail through one of the windows, and they also hear shouting outside the warehouse. So the two cronies peel off to go investigate, but about a minute goes by, and they haven't come back yet, and so the butcher gets nervous and runs out after them. This is when Ada comes in and cuts Callum loose. She tells him that she has no idea where they are, and they took her phone and her weapon, and they're alone. There's nobody that's coming to save them, so they have to get out immediately. Before they can do this, though, the butcher and his cronies come back, and they have guns pointed at them, so Callum knows that they're in a tight spot. The only exit that he can see is a drain behind the two of them, and he makes a run for it. So he and Ada jump down this drain and are eventually spit out into the Chicago River.
And this is what I was alluding to earlier, where Ada gets herself out of problems. And Callum.
Yes, right. She's the one that, like, initiated this escape.
Yeah, and he's like, "How did you do this?" And she's like, "I found the kitchen and I explored through the air vents." Like, she pulled a fucking Mission Impossible while he was just dangling from this meat hook.
I know. Drinking drinks given to him by a stranger. Rookie mistake.
Without looking. And she makes the snide comment to him where she was like, "I tried to tell you, but, like, you Irishmen need to learn how to not, everything doesn't have to be a shot, okay? Like, you can sip on something." That would be
And he's like,
fine.
"Watch it."
Right? It's cute.
So exhilarated and grateful for their lives, Callum tells Ada that she should have just run and left him there, but she tells him, quote, "I would never abandon you." And he tells her, quote, "Neither would I. I'll always find you, Ada."
Aww.
So 2 days later, the election takes place, and Callum wins the alderman seat. The entire family of Griffins goes out to dinner, including Ada. And of course, on the way, Callum and Ada fool around in the car. It's a great scene.
It's a really great scene. They have a lot of time in the car together, and I like it.
She even says something like, I'm beginning to be like Pavlov's dog with the smell of leather and like being horny.
Yeah, and she says something too about like, I always thought it was stupid that people had drivers, but in the future, this is all you're going to see is people just like getting it onto the car with their like robocars.
Yeah, exactly. So as they sit around the table, it's one of the first times that Ada feels like she belongs with the Griffins. She and Callum hold hands under the table, and she tells us, quote, "This is the first time we've ever held hands. He's not doing it for show because we're not at an event. And he's not grabbing me to pull me close. He's just holding my hand because he wants to." And she admits to us that she thinks she might be falling in love.
Oh.
The next day, Ada is rushing out the door to run an errand, and Callum is irritated because he wanted her to go with him to see his office for the first time. But he lets it go and resolves to talk about this and whatever it is that she's hiding from him later.
And again, I had no concerns that she was doing anything to hurt him.
Nope. Just to be safe, though, he has Jack follow Ada. And Jack calls him later and tells him that Ada met with some random dude at a restaurant. They exchanged a package, but it wasn't Oliver, so there's a plus, I guess. But Jack admits that after Ada left the restaurant, Jack lost sight of her. And when he went to her Jeep, all he found was her shoe. And that's when Callum knows that something is deeply wrong.
Well,
so Callum jumps in his car to go meet Jack, and as he does, he calls Ada, but it goes straight to voicemail.
also, Callum is the only one who like listens to his heart, right? Because he calls her brothers, and they're like, "That's dumb. She wouldn't be with Oliver. That sweet boy. Psh."
He wouldn't
like,
hurt a fly. It's probably the butcher, right?
Right.
Yes. So we jump back in the past a little bit to Ada at the cafe with that dude that she was meeting. And this guy gives her something that she hired him to find, and she's super excited about it. As she walks back to her Jeep, though, her steps falter a little bit because the car next to it is familiar to her. She decides to play it cool and just try to get back in her car and leave. But that's when Oliver strikes. He puts a knife to her side and tells her to come quietly and not make a scene. He zip ties her hands and feet and puts her in the trunk of his car and drives off. But in the process, Ada is able to lose one shoe in the parking lot, which is the one that Jack and Callum later find. It's the only thing that she can think of to possibly leave a sign for anybody that she's in danger and she needs to be saved.
Brilliant. This girl is so fucking smart.
She's on her toes, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So cut back to Callum, and now Ada's brothers are also there too. Ada's brothers are convinced that the butcher took her, but Callum has the gut feeling that somebody else is responsible. So they resolve to split up. The brothers will go to the girlfriend's apartment of the butcher and other places that the butcher might be to look for Ada. Callum has Jack go to Oliver's apartment, and he himself intends to go to Oliver's beach house, the one that Oliver's father just sold.
Just to double down one more time, you think the butcher stole Ada and took her to his girlfriend's house?
Yeah, the thought process there, I was like, so suddenly this drag king who's probably just trying to get a good lay and like some good tips, like, is now going to be abetting like kidnap and potentially murder. Like, make that make sense.
Right. And like, this guy is the head of the Polish mafia. Like, he's got safe houses. Okay, it's not gonna be his girlfriend's random apartment.
Right. That makes no sense.
No.
So we go back to Ada, and when Oliver lets her out of the trunk, they are indeed at that beach house that his father sold. The whole time, Ada is berating Oliver that he better not have left her purse and he must still have it, right? She's concerned about that thing that guy gave her, but Oliver takes that to mean that she wants her phone. So he takes the opportunity to take it out of her purse, smash it, and throw it into the ocean. Cool.
Well, there's also this like one-liner about Oliver says something about like, well, I don't want anyone to track you because he herself was tracking her. And we've seen this in other dark romance books. I wish Callum had tracked her. I mean, he knows exactly where she is anyway, but like, if you are a member of the mob, you should have a GPS on you at all times. I think.
Yes. I think so too. Or like, what was it in Ritual that he had her like literally like tagged?
Implanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which like, I know that's dark, but it came in handy.
It did come in handy. Look, if you were a high probability target for kidnap, maybe consider it.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine.
So Ada knows that she's in a tough spot, and it's clear that something in Oliver has snapped. Ada's not really sure how to get away from him, and she's seeing her windows of opportunities slowly close because they end up going inside the house. There's nothing in these rooms except a mattress on the floor of the kitchen living space, which is really fucking creepy.
Horrifying.
Yeah. She tells us, quote, Oliver seems to be dangling on the precipice of madness, only hanging on by a thread, but I'm not sure what that thread is. Is that this house? Is it his affection for me? Or is it the appearance of calm, fragile, easily shattered? Like, what's happening here?
Which is so terrifying. He's so scary.
He's very scary. Oliver makes her dance with him, and then he tries to kiss her, but when it's clear that she's not into it, he becomes violent. He gags her and then hits her so hard in the head that she passes out.
Which I just want to say, anyone who goes on a date, any female, I am going to gender this, who goes on a date with a man and gets any sort of bad vibes, it's okay. You don't ever have to speak to them again. You don't have to be nice. Be rude. Be weird.
Be weird.
Stay
be rude.
alive.
Stay alive.
Fuck this guy.
So back to Callum, and he's driving slowly through the neighborhood that he thinks Oliver's beach house might be in. The problem is he doesn't have an exact address, but he lucks out and he passes a house with a car that he recognizes as Oliver's parked outside, and he knows that he's in the right spot.
Convenient.
When he peeks in a window of the house, he sees part of the kitchen is on fire, and he begins to panic because he doesn't see either Oliver or Ada. So he goes inside the house, doesn't find anybody on the first floor, and then goes to the second floor. That's where Oliver meets him. They get into a fist fight, and eventually Callum knocks Oliver down the stairs, and he moves on to all of the bedrooms to looking for Ada, and he finds her in the last one. He finds her bound and passed out on the floor. He knows they don't have a lot of time and tries to wake her up to get out of the house. But as he turns back to the doorway, he sees Oliver standing, waiting for them. So Callum and Oliver get into another fist fight, but Ada is awake now, and so Callum tells her to go get a gun that flew out of his hand in the first fight. He knows that she won't be able to find it, but thinks that getting her out of this room will get her out of the house and into safety. Yeah, she doesn't buy any of that. She doesn't leave.
No, absolutely not.
As these two are fighting, the floor gives way because of the fire in the kitchen below, and Oliver and Callum begin to slide into the blaze. Oliver goes first, and no one tries to save him. But Ada holds on to Callum, refusing to let him die. She successfully pulls him up, and they escape the burning house by jumping out of a window onto the sand dunes. They run to the Jeep, but before they drive away, Ada runs back to the sand dunes where her purse was left by Oliver. Callum doesn't understand why she does this, but Ada is insistent. As they drive away, Callum tells her that the reason that he knew that it was Oliver who took her was because of the shoe that she left and what she said about Oliver feeling like the wrong shoe on the wrong foot.
Oh,
I know.
It's so cute. How did the house catch fire?
I don't know. I look, I'm going to be honest. I was taking notes. I didn't read it super closely the second time, and I don't remember if we know.
I don't think we know because, okay, to be fair, I was reading The Help My Lungs because I was into this story. I don't think we find out. The only thing I could guess is that Ada pulled some like chaos because she already did the thing with the Molotov cocktails, but she's unconscious when we leave her before. Like she's unconscious, the house is on fire, and she's still unconscious. So I don't know if Oliver just planned to like die with her and set the house on fire.
I think that might be the implication because before he like hits her hard enough to make her black out, he says something like, well, something to the effect of like, if I can't have you, nobody can. And so I think that implies that he was ready to kill her.
But it's so, what a slow death. Like you're going to set a fire in the kitchen and then go upstairs and just like wait to burn?
Ow.
If you're going to pull a murder-suicide, like, I don't know. There's more efficient ways to do that.
Certainly. Yeah. So they end up going to the hospital, which is where Ada's brothers are, because it turns out they got into a shootout with the butcher and his girlfriend. That ended up with the butcher dying, and her brothers have like minor injuries. So they all get patched up and treated, put back together. Isn't that cute?
It's
These
adorable.
mom families.
So cute.
When they get back to the house, Callum's parents greet him and they're glad that they're safe. Callum uses this opportunity to say that he's happy that he's home, but it's time for him and Ada to get their own place. Then he and Ada go get cleaned up in their room and have a last scene together, which is lengthy and intimate.
It's great because I was so happy we got it because I feel like so often in these stories we get a bunch of action at the end and then just the happily ever after and not really a final scene unless it's the epilogue.
Yeah.
So I was super glad that we got a great last scene. Like they both know they love each other and now we're gonna bang.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think what you said is so right. It often feels a little bit cockblocky or like blue balling when you go through all of this story and then at the end you're just like, and now we don't have sex anymore because we're in a committed relationship. Like, come on, guys.
Which, like, gross.
Yeah.
Untrue.
Untrue. One.
Yeah.
So the next day they go house hunting, and this is when Ada gives Cal the watch. That's what she paid that guy for, because apparently he's a very famous diver. And so he used this for his like YouTube channel and found the watch where she threw it off the pier at the beginning of the book. And so the book actually ends with both of them finally saying that they love each other out loud. Oh.
I just had such a great time with this book. And the watch reveal was adorable because it comes
So
full
cute.
circle.
So cute and thoughtful.
It's so thoughtful because she could have just gotten it like replicated, which is what Callum originally thinks. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, I found the one that I lost.
Yes, the
You're
one that I
welcome.
yeeted into the water lake thing.
Yep.
You're welcome.
I love you.
I love you. Yeah. No notes. So
No notes.
Speaking of no notes, let's get into our reading so we can talk about how few notes we actually have. So, how do we rate the spice level?
We both gave it a 4. It's great. This book is not that long, and we get a lot of scenes. We also get scenes early, which is nice because I'm always a little worried when we have an enemies to lovers how soon we're going to get to the spice because it needs to feel realistic. But it makes sense where they do it, when they do it, and they immediately have that chemistry. Honestly, the only reason it's not a 5 for me is the combination of that one fade to black scene into the really aggressive spanking without like a bridge.
Yeah.
If we had that fade to black as a door open power play and then the aggressive spanking, it would be 5s across the board.
Yep.
It just feels like comes out of left field, and it took me longer to warm up to the scene than I would have preferred.
Yep, totally agree. But I also want to add that like the scenes that we get are varied. I mean, for a heterosexual couple, like they're not just doing missionary in bed. Like there's a lot of different like locations and positions and different things going on. So I appreciated the variety.
Yeah. I did too, and it's quite nice.
Yeah, definitely one-handed book club for this one.
For sure. And we get some really steamy pictures in the book, which was a delightful surprise.
God. I forgot about the
They're
pictures.
hot.
Yeah.
There's pictures. There is full on not safe for work pictures in this book.
Yeah. Those are definitely a plus that I didn't know that
great.
I needed. Yeah.
No, and I'm so happy to have them.
So that brings us into writing style. We rated this a 4. I mean, this book could have been like really half-assed, but there was no formatting issues. There were no typos. It was really clear who was talking when we switched back and forth between Callum and Ada. And like usually when the playlist thing is like just ham-fisted into the story, I don't like that. But I thought that the playlist application in this book was actually really good, and I really liked the use of like, hey, this is when you should listen to this song, do it please. Even though I chose not to do that, I thought that was an interesting way to use it. So writing style, very approachable, no notes. So moving
Agreed.
to quality of storytelling, how'd we do?
We also gave it a 4. really, as far as the plot, like there aren't any plot holes. The only thing that kind of knocked it as far as like, okay, there's no plot holes. The characters make sense, except Jack doesn't really make sense. And there's some conflicts that I think should be there that are too easily overcome. For example, Callum and all of Ada's brothers just suddenly being one happy family.
And bunch of
like,
marshmallows.
Yeah, and like nary an argument. Like they don't even really bicker. Like they're just like, okay,
Right.
we're married, we're a team, let's go. And I just don't buy that.
Yeah, I mean, there was also that whole conflict of like the brother's knee getting like smashed in. And like there were a couple of one-line fixers about like how the Griffins helped find like the best knee surgeon. And so like he's probably going to be fine. Cool. That's great. I didn't need it to be the central argument of the book, but I wanted things like that to feel a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, I at least wanted the first time they all go on a mission together, they have like infighting.
Yeah.
Right. And there's barely even a snide remark, honestly. It's like Ada and Callum got married and they're just all BFFs now.
Right. And they have friendship bracelets to prove it.
Yeah, I was like, it doesn't feel realistic. And so that kind of knocked it. And not that I need major realism in my mafia romance, but you set up this central conflict and then we just drop that conflict and go to something else. It's just kind of annoying.
Yeah, totally with you. But I mean, all to say that doesn't detract from the book or our rating. So we do recommend this book. It's a great time.
Yeah, we do.
Super easy to read. Doesn't feel like almost 400 pages. Like, it's a good time.
It's great. I'd like to read more by this author.
Yeah.
Even in this world. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Also appreciate that it's a one shot. Thank you, Queen. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Thank you, Queen. We're going to talk about that when we plan, but like, why is it so hard to find standalones?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I get it. Author's got to author, but like, holy shit. I so appreciate the good one shots. Anyway, that's a story for a different day. That concludes, that puts a nice shiny bow on our thoughts for Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. So thank you as always for joining us on this journey. Let us know what you thought. You can find us on the socials at TikTok, YouTube, and Goodreads at Spice Traders Pod. And if you like our podcast and want more, consider joining our Patreon, where we release Patreon exclusive episodes on our off weeks. And if you really, really like us, drop us a review wherever you listen. Until next time, we'll see ya. Bye.
Bye.